What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Pit Stop. I'm Justin with NRN, the No Bull Racing Network. Well, we had a week off with no racing on TV for Easter, but now racing has returned, and we begin in Bahrain for round 2 of the Formula One Championship out in the desert. Ferrari snuck the win in Australia by capitalizing on a small glitch that Hamilton suffered in his Mercedes. And while many probably thought that the win was perhaps a fluke, well, Ferrari has been killing it in the desert. Kimi Räikkönen was the quickest at the end of the second practice session, his lap being a 1:29.8. His teammate Sebastian Vettel was just behind him, and I mean just behind him, with a 1:29.82. That is 0.01 seconds behind him. That is dang near identical. Behind the Ferraris would be both of the Mercedes, with Valtteri Bottas leading the way, 0.5 seconds behind with a lap of 1:30.3. Red Bull would be next in line, with Verstappen being 0.9 seconds off the Ferrari pace. And it's still very close at the top amongst the teams, still looking like it's going to be a very competitive season, and everyone has to be on top of their game. And speaking of that, even though Kimi Räikkönen was at the top of the charts, he was forced to retire from the session 15 minutes early when the crew didn't get a wheel on tight enough. So we're seeing some mistakes out there on pit road, and that's costing these guys big, just like it cost Haas in Australia. These guys are going to have to get that kind of stuff cleaned up on pit road if they want to have solid finishes in a season that is going to be this tight. Force India didn't make much noise in the first practice session, but they did show a little more pace in FP2. The midfield battle is tight as well. Force India would be 13th and 14th, with Esteban Ocon setting the fastest pace, but Haas would still have the advantage in that battle, with Romain Grosjean placing 11th. But Kevin Magnussen didn't have the pace he showed in Australia, and he would be 15th. So he's one that needs to pick it up just a little bit. But if things go well in the race, Grosjean could score some points for Haas. But get this, Pierre Gasly got his Toro Rosso up to 8th place on the charts, and that is a very impressive run for the Frenchman. Look forward to seeing if he can keep that car in the top 10 in qualifying and during the race. His teammate, though, Brendan Hartley, was about 1.5 seconds slower, so I imagine he wasn't too happy with his car, but still very good pace from one of the Toro Rossos, which is something we haven't seen in a while. But it should be a fun race under the lights and in the desert. Sparks are going to fly for sure, with the times being so close. I think we're in for another great Grand Prix. And so far, I'm really happy with how close the teams are. I just love it. That's just going to make for some good racing. And that's what us race fans like to see, right? Is good, close racing. But right now, it looks like Ferrari is no fluke. They can go up there and get the pole for Sunday's race, and I think they can possibly win another one. And it might not just be a Ferrari-Mercedes battle like we're probably expecting. In FP1, Daniel Ricciardo and Red Bull were the quickest, so Red Bull could get into the mix too and have a 3-manufacturer battle for the win. That would be absolutely fantastic. Before the cars took to the track, though, Chairman of Formula One, Chase Carey, held a conference with the teams and FIA, and they kind of wanted to lay out their plans for the future of the sport, and here were a few key takeaways. They discussed the power units for one for all the cars. They want them to be cheaper, simpler, louder, which that's always a plus, and they want to cut back on the amount of grid penalties, which I'm actually all for that. I think that was all well and good. This next one here is an important one too. They want the manufacturers to have the freedom to build unique and original power units. And I'm happy with that actually, because I don't want it to turn into NASCAR, where they box in these engineers as to what they can build. I want them to have the creativity to go out there and try to produce the fastest car with what they have. And from that language and my understanding, that's keeping them in a box is not what's going to happen. And it sounds like they're going to be able to keep that creativity, but they do mention that they want things to be cheaper. Maybe the bit about making them cheaper might raise some eyebrows, especially when they said they want to implement a cost cap. But that is only, in my opinion, I think that is only to help the midfield teams. And like I said before, the closer the racing, the more exciting it's going to be. So I'm okay with this. This doesn't really bother me too much with with the changes they're preparing to make. And speaking of exciting racing, one thing they mentioned is they want more overtaking. They want the teams to start building cars that make the racing more, well, raceable. That may mean slowing the cars down a bit, but if that has to be done to save on the side of action, you know what? I think I'll take it. I think I would rather see the cars maybe go a little slower if it means we get more side-by-side action and better racing. I'm always for better racing. I was just worried that it was going to become too standardized. And it sounds like there is going to be some of that in some places. They did talk about standardization in certain areas, but not as much as we may have been fearing, because I know when they first started talking about this, a lot of what was going on social media was it was going to become way too standardized. It was going to become like NASCAR, and that was freaking me out. But I don't know. What do you think? How do you feel about these rule changes when you read them? Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a line in the comments with your opinion. Your opinions are always welcome. NASCAR is back, though, roaring into Texas Motor Speedway, and you may recall that in the fall race, it wasn't all that exciting. However, I was having a conversation with NRN contributor Mike McAteer, and he was telling me that Texas has been dragging the track for several days. And if you don't know what that means, this is actually kind of cool, but they attach tires to a tractor, and they literally drag those tires across the racing surface to lay down tire rubber and create more grip. Well, that has given the track several lanes, and if that's true, then this is going to be an improvement from the fall race, where there was only the one groove, and everyone was too afraid to pass in that race. But let's take a look at the starting lineup for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. Now, they did get one round of qualifying in, so these times are set after only one round of qualifying because lightning started to strike near the racetrack, so they called off the rest of the qualifying. So these times are based on only one round of qualifying, but it would be Kurt Busch setting the fastest time, his best speed 197.3 miles per hour, and that would put Stewart Haas Racing on the pole with Kurt Busch and his Ford. In fact, Stewart Haas Racing, for the first time in their careers, would have three cars at the front. It would be Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick would be second, and Clint Bowyer third. And that is dangerous, folks, because, man, I just can't help but see Kevin Harvick winning the race on Sunday, or a Stewart Haas race car. I don't know what those guys have got going on, but right now they are clearly the best team in the garage. You know, they've won 4 of the 6 races, and they might make that 5 and 7 at Texas. But Kurt Busch, I'm surprised to see him with the pole, actually. I know I had talked about some time ago Kurt Busch so far not making the most noise on the Stewart Haas team. We had seen good runs from Eric Almirola. Of course, we'd seen several wins from Kevin Harvick, and Clint Bowyer broke his winless streak. And Kurt Busch was kind of the one that hadn't really done anything yet. Well, there he goes, grabbing his first pole of the year. And Clint Bowyer, who won at Martinsville with another good qualifying effort, he is going to roll off third. And you know what? And that breaking a winless streak like that could really rejuvenate him. You know, you're kind of down and you kind of wonder, do you still got it when you haven't been winning as long as he had? And then when you go out and win a race, you know, you prove to yourself, hey man, I still got this. So maybe Clint Bowyer, he might not be done winning this year. I bet you he won't go on another winless streak like that for some time. Ryan Blaney in another Ford, 4 Fords and the top 5. Ryan Blaney, the highest running Penske driver, he rolls off 4th. Denny Hamlin is going to be your first Toyota in 5th. Martin Truex Jr. would be 6th. Another Penske driver, Joey Logano, would be 7th. Kyle Busch, who's been used to finishing 2nd since the season started, he'll roll off 8th. Jimmy Johnson with a very impressive qualifying run, he will be 9th. And Kyle Larson in his Chevrolet will be 10th. That's the top 10 starters. 11th would be Brad Keselowski. Eric Almirola would be 12th. He's the lowest of the Stewart Haas Racing qualifiers, but still 12th is a very good starting position. Trevor Bayne will be 13th. Daniel Suarez 14th. Darrell Wallace Jr., Bubba, getting a 15th starting position. Very good. Alex Bowman will roll off 16th. Austin Dillon 17th. Chris Buescher, who smacked the wall in the early minutes of the first qualifying session, changed tires, got out there and was able to qualify 18th. Paul Menard for the Wood Brothers will be 19th, and Chase Elliott and his Chevrolet will be 20th. That is the top 20 starters for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. And again, Stewart Haas Racing with a great qualifying run. 3 of their 4 cars, 1, 2, 3. Amazing. Those guys cannot be stopped, it seems. But I tell you, folks, I just wouldn't count out Kevin Harvick. I mean, do you remember the time Harvick had a broken shifter and he had to hold it in gear for about 100 laps as he drove one-handed? He went on to finish the race 3rd. Do you remember what track that was? It was Texas. Kevin Harvick, I mean, the dude is just unreal. So, you may have heard of Michael Shank Racing. Well, get ready for a rebrand because Jim Meyer has partnered with Michael Shank to make Meyer Shank Racing. And this partnership is good in not only the IMSA program, but the IndyCar program as well. And together they'll run a select few IndyCar schedule races, but they are going to run the full IMSA schedule with the number 93 and number 86 Acuras. But this is cool because Michael Shank, what a great story he has. He actually mortgaged his house to start this race team. He and his wife have run it for years, and he built all that he has from the ground up. And he's very successful, too. He's got 2 great teams, and his cars can prove that they can win just about any race they're in. They finished really well at Daytona, had really good strong showing at Sebring. And I'm a fan, and I really like this merge. Jim Meyer, if you've never heard of him, by the way, he is the CEO of Sirius XM Radio. That will be a very good partnership, and I think that's only going to make Michael Shank Racing stronger and a championship contender. The next IMSA race, though, will be next weekend from the Long Beach Street Circuit. I'm pretty boss at that track on Project Cars, too, by the way. I'm just saying I have never lost there in anything I've ever run. So if anyone's looking for a driver for the Long Beach Circuit, I'm your guy because I'm really good at it on Project Cars, too. But it'll be a 100-minute race, and will only feature 2 of the classes instead of the 3 we're used to seeing this time. The prototypes and the GT Le Mans cars will be present for the race. And this is kind of interesting. Jordan and Ricky Taylor have won the past 3 consecutive races at Long Beach. However, both of the Taylor brothers are now on separate teams. So which Taylor brother can win this race? That'll be a fun one to keep an eye on. But that's going to do it for me here on the Pit Stop. Thank you so much for listening. By the way, I want to tell you about something really cool on NASCAR.com. They have a fantasy league, as you know. And NRN, the Noble Racing Network, has its own fantasy racing league. And if you would like to join us, go to the Fantasy Racing League, sign up, and where you can search for leagues, search for NRN, the Noble Racing Network, and go ahead and play along with us. I got my fantasy all picked out for this week. I'm going to gamble a little bit, so I'm not going to tell you what I got. I'll let you know how I do. But I'm currently sitting in second in our league, only 30 points off the lead, so hopefully I can catch up to the guy in the lead there. But if you want to play along, join us there. Also, you can keep up with NRN, the Noble Racing Network, on Facebook. Search for Noble Racing Network on Facebook. We also have an Instagram page and a Twitter feed at Noble Racing Net. Thank you so much for listening to me. I will see you after the Texas race for the recap. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy that racing out there and stay safe this weekend. Peace.